A couple months back, I introduced to you my Zircon family and their SuperScan K series, and we dove into the K1 in specific with this laundry room makeover for Holly, which introduced to you the target control technology that is unique to them, that gives you real confidence in finding wood wall studs and not metal, as well as the trust but verify technique to find safe to drill zones. I then introduced to you the K2 series, which helps with multi-layer surface walls, and I even discovered that I was hanging things wrong with the competitor stud finder previously, so we need to fix that. And now I want to go check everything that I've done. Oh no. That is why today I will be diving into the K3, which has metal scan mode. So essentially it has 4 different modes, which gives you more and more confidence to map out what is behind your walls exactly. Although we are focusing on one single wall today, that is because it is very important. You can't just like blow through makeovers. And in particular, this wall butts up is directly on the opposite side of my bedroom wall that has a ton of electrical metal throughout. And my competitor stud finder told me those were all studs. So I want to use the K3 to be absolutely certain I am not hitting anything I should not be hitting besides the stud. Originally, I wanted to work with the tile when I did a budget-friendly flip and a demo reno budget-friendly flip, but now I want to take that down. Before we can do anything, we need to come in, and I love these things. These are heavy-duty bags. I'll link them down below, but I am going to go ahead and demo off the tile with the least amount of damage that I can do, because we are going to be using the Zircon SuperScan K3 to detect what's behind those walls to ensure that I'm going in right and tight to the studs and nowhere else. I think you guys saw, well, I know you guys saw the last video where I was completely embarrassed that the competitor stud finder told me there were studs where there's probably like pipes and stuff, so I'm a little bit concerned, but that's where I'm going to be saved with my Zircon SuperScan K3. So let's demo the tile, and then we'll get to work on the next section. With this being the final frontier of Holly's home, I genuinely couldn't leave with this tile being 3/4 up every single wall in this bathroom. So I wanted to test taking it down on this wall in a design that I had in mind for a little bit to kind of blend her whole space together, but I wasn't sure if it's actually gonna work. So I just took my chisel, hammer, a little bit of patience, and whittled away, taking these tiles off one by one. This isn't similar to the kitchen makeover whatsoever, but that tediousness of the project can definitely deflate you. So right here, that's why I cut it in half, the room in half. I didn't need to demo this whole bathroom because quite frankly, I needed the sink and I needed the toilet. I didn't have the moment to take that out and take a week off without it or what have you. So again, when you're doing your demos and your renovations, do it according to your lifestyle and what's gonna help you function versus making you stressed out. After I knocked a lot of tile off, I took a little bit of a breather to clean up. Another tip for you is clean up as you go. Some people just kind of push the mess off to the side. I cannot be one of those people. I need to like thoroughly sweep, vacuum, and scrub down in between each phase. Oh, that's interesting. Big old blobber. Cool texture though. I grabbed some joint compound and a putty knife, and I went to town just making sure that wall was nice and smooth wherever there was damage. This is where you can kind of mess yourself up, right? Because I needed to wait for this joint compound to dry, since I had this great idea, at least in my brain, it was a good idea to remove that tile that just offshoots just a little bit to the bathroom that I couldn't get with my hammer and chisel because the wall was adhering like pretty heavily to it. So I went in with my angle grinder and a diamond bit blade that was made for tile. I made the line accordingly and just started to trace it down a little bit to give it a place to crack nice and clean instead of cracking into the bathroom and like ruining the shower tile. I wanted there to be a straight line because we're going to DIY a new, not exterior, but basically like a new trim for the shower in part 3. We're going to replace that. Okay, well, that definitely didn't go according to plan, but probably better to replace this chunk. We'll go down to a stud, frame it out. Okay, not what I wanted to do, but cool that we got right up against this stud with this drywall. So we'll place right over it. So I'm gonna take the angle grinder. We live and learn, people. That is what we do. And patching up drywall really isn't that terrifying. So I'm going to walk you through a very basic way of how to do that, because I'm not going to be adding wall texture to this. I won't mind that the bottom half of this wall is smooth, since it will be an accent wall. It's just not going to be a tile wall. You see me using a combination of tools here. You'll see the angle grinder, which is the lime green, which I use to cut the tile. You'll see me come in with the black tool, which is a multi-tool, which is what I'm using to make the drywall a little bit more straight. So that way I go and it can fit easily. Okay, although this is not what I want to be doing, this is a great example to show you why I really do love the K3. I'm gonna get some close-ups and kind of zoom in and talk about what's behind the wall, because you guys asked like what's low level, what's metallic warning, and now I kind of have the perfect example of a non-test wall, like an actual real wall in our house, to showcase all of that for you. Right off the bat, something I noticed within the studs behind this wall, there was like random staples, there were some screws that really weren't doing anything because it was just drived into, probably through the drywall into the stud. They did a little too deep. There were a couple of those, and there was just a bunch of metal scattered throughout. Now there's metallic warning that is on the K3, and when it's in the other modes, not in metal scan mode, it will legitimately let you know that that thing is popping up, or there's a screw there or a nail there, and necessarily, hey, you're not gonna get through, but it's telling you, hey, absolutely not, do not put a screw through here. There's already some metal and it's not gonna be going good for you. Now with the metal scan mode, it locates ferrous metal up to 3 inches deep and non-ferrous metal up to 1.5 inches deep. And then you have a bunch of other things as well behind your wall. You have plumbing, you have copper pipe, you might have just metal pipe, you might have plastic tubing, you may have these live wires, you may have the metal that's deep, and that's where and why there are different K series for different things in different modes, because you can't just have one stud finder with one mode find all the things and tell you. You need to have the technology that's diving behind that wall and able to really give you that confidence by narrowing it down mode by mode to really get you to understand what's behind your wall and make it so you are just going into the studs. You can see that the drywall meets in the middle of each stud, so that is exactly what we'll be doing when we are patching up what we just took out. In order to patch drywall back, it needs something to be drilled into. So I just went in with some scrap wood that I had and made some supports for the cuts that I made of the drywall to patch this up. And I did need to do a little mini clean up and clean out to get the remnants of the old drywall out from in between the tile and the 2x4 framing. Once the supports were good to go, that is when I placed my drywall that I cut down to size and used the appropriate drywall screws to secure it and hold it exactly where it needs to go. Use this fiber tape, which is like a yellow grid tape, placed it over where all the screws were, used my joint compound to fill that in, let that dry completely before I sanded it down smooth. It is 5 in the morning, 5:30. I don't want to lie to you. And I'm gonna go to Joshua Tree in a bit, so I want to paint. Oh my god, mess. I am so dramatic sometimes. Looking back at this though, you will see that the hole is not patched yet. I painted it black and then I decided to cause all that dust after sanding the joint compound down. How absolutely backwards is that, people? So don't do what I just did here. If you need to patch a wall, sand it down and texture it, do it the opposite. I don't know why I always choose the most difficult path. Allow me to introduce to you the Zircon SuperScan K3. It has 4 different modes. Now, we are going to start in target control mode, which is to the left, the 1 triangle. It locates center and edges and the direction of the wood that's up to 3/4 of an inch. I do have to keep it real with you. Sometimes I will scan the wall and it will do this. Nothing will really appear. Well, you need to recalibrate it and give it a chance to really just read the wall once more to come in and give you more information. So don't get discouraged if you pass by. You need to go back, recalibrate, and start to see the signals that pop up. Zircon's blog has a ton of helpful links about glossary terms and just so you can learn their stud finders a little bit more. While you're in target control mode, those signals that pop up that kind of look like cell signals are the low level level indicators, which flashes in a cascading manner, so it's more noticeable too, and also to indicate the object is likely not a stud. But when you switch to deep scan mode, which is when the screen turns green and you flip that switch to the double triangle, these bars are the signal strength indicator. So the signal strength as it goes up or down, that helps you distinguish between shallow and deep targets while in stud scan and deep scan mode, but not in metal scan mode. Now, the metallic warning indicator, which you see on the right-hand side of the screen, turns on when metal is detected in target control, stud scan, and deep scan modes. That's going to let you know that obviously metal is there that you do not want to be drilling into. When you switch it over to metal scan mode, that is when it can locate ferrous metal up to 3 inches deep and non-ferrous metal up to 1.5 inches deep. So basically, I know that this is a lot kind of coming at you for a stud finder, but it's just giving you the utmost confidence by narrowing in and letting you know exactly what is behind your wall by going into each mode. You guys know I'm not just saying this, but you literally saw me get embarrassed for not knowing what was behind my wall and drilling into it freely. That is extremely dangerous. So with Zircon, with their K series, while you go up the line like K1, K2, K3, it's just giving you more modes to give you more confidence to really tell you what is exactly behind your wall and just giving you that full transparency to make it as safe as possible and to really give you that utmost confidence that I clearly thought I had, but it was totally in the wrong. If you guys are interested in checking out more of the K3 or any of the K series that I've spoken about thus far on my channel, I have linked it down below for you guys, but I am so excited that I decided to go in with this K3 because let me tell you, my game plan for a wood accent wall quickly took a left turn when I realized how much was exactly behind this wall after discovering all the modes of the K3. While scanning where I was planning on screwing in sheets of plywood to give it a more minimal modern half accent wall, I quickly discovered not only were there a ton of wire and voltage behind here, but there was different metals popping up in different modes. So this wall was just fully loaded with issues that I genuinely didn't know before. And I know I sound like a broken record, but this is so important for people that are like, oh, the best stud finder is my hand. It's no, you can't knock and feel that there's a live wire right behind there. It just is not going to cut it. So once I realized that's what was happening down here, I opted for a geometric accent wall, which I've done previously here on this channel multiple times. Okay, we sanded that wall down. Now you can kind of see where my head is with this wall to be the test wall to see if this is what I want to do throughout, since it's such a bold choice. And if I don't, I can go a different direction. Now we're going to be working on where we use the stud finder because I'm putting so many different slats and things. I don't want to compromise how much is behind this wall with low level and the metallic warning that was going off. So what I'm going to do is kind of lean towards construction adhesive and some brad nails to be on the safer side of things. So that is what you're gonna see executed right now, is these little 1x2 situations. Wood Brain is always to the rescue. Lynn's is just my partner in DIY and I am so grateful. She started cutting down some 1x2s with some measurements I gave her, and then I went in with construction adhesive, and the most minimal length of brad nail I could use that wasn't going to go into the wall past the drywall, since there was so much happening behind the scenes of this wall apparently. I didn't want to risk anything now that I knew. This is why these projects always take so long, is because, right, we need to caulk the sides. If we don't caulk the sides of these and make sure that anything that we're connecting to here is weatherproofed, the moisture from here instantly is gonna get underneath that and bow whatever is behind it. It's basically gonna make this stuff start to pop off. So I always say with joint compound, with caulk, it takes so much longer to dry. So that's why this one wall has taken so long. Fun fact, not so fun. It truly is something to say, the process in the amount of time that it took just to do this one small wall in this bathroom. And I need to be honest with you, I think that happens more often than not where I need to tack on 2 to 3 days extra, because something like this is just bound to happen, whether it's the drying time, it's the fact that I had to rip drywall off. I need to start allotting myself more time to do larger scale projects, because the last thing you want to do is rush or not use the right tool and do the job wrong. It's just not okay. Love having another maker, not just Lynn's, but any maker around me to give their input. I let Lindsay kind of just take it away and add the geometric accents at her own will. And I just kept adding joint compound, filling those nail holes and the seams to make it look seamless when we go to paint it black. I started getting real excited with where this was going, and I understand this might be busy for people in this small bathroom, but I just ask you, please hold out for part 3. Come back and let me show you what decor can do for your space. It can pull away from accents, it can add to the accents. I'm going to show you how this might look a little nuts right now, but your girl, just like with my pimple cream, those pimples are going to go away. It's just all going to blend in and it will make sense and it will look absolutely beautiful. But right now is testing out the design to see if I even liked it. And I'm happy that I decided to execute and move forward. I was getting so pumped with just how this is coming out the more that I painted it, and it became like one solid wall because the black and white was really throwing me. But I did want to break it up to make it look a little bit more modern and sharp, but to also pull in some wood accents that you've noticed throughout Holly's house that I have been doing. And I did that by using a Select Pine 1x2, dabbing some construction adhesive, making sure that it is level, and tacking that into place with my nail gun. Since this is just design, this is not to hold anything or to hold weight. Again, I went in and I caulked everything that was touching that wall, because let me tell you, with the moisture, since it's in a bathroom, if you do not seal it properly, my friends, that moisture will creep up behind anything and it will pop everything off. It will warp, it will twist, it will bend, it will bow. And we want to avoid that at all costs after doing all this work, let me tell you. I continued to use the K3 to ensure that I was hanging the remainder of the details absolutely safe and only drilling into a stud and ensuring I'm not compromising anything behind Holly's wall. Now, with the decor, I wanted to go more on the minimal side because yes, the geometric wall is somewhat of the showstopper, so I don't want to take away from that. I just added one piece of wall decor and 2 towel hooks. I decided to throw in that terracotta, if you will, or burnt orange that was in the bathroom previously to tie in the copper accents that we've been kind of just implementing throughout Holly's house randomly. And I gotta say, I am personally very excited with the way this design is going. Obviously, it is not complete because the bathroom is half and half right now. I am so pumped to execute part 3, the final reveal of this small bathroom with a DIY tub skirt with the granite top, a new vanity thrift flip. Oh, there's just so much to come. This is what my update was, right? Just this little guy. Beige, white on white on white. But then we go moody. And it just looks like it's meant to be black. If you guys have anything, hopefully I have the time to implement it into part 3, or you're looking for in a bathroom makeover, please comment it down below and I will definitely try my hardest to implement it into the last room that we're doing for Holly. Oh, that's so exciting. And also, thank you so much to Zircon for partnering up with your girl and honestly just giving me more knowledge each time, learning what is behind my walls and making how I execute my home improvement so much more safely. I've linked everything down below for you guys, and I will see you soon for another DIY.